SmackDown. Yeah, this show was completely missable. It was the go-home show for SummerSlam, and they didn't do anything. Opened with a Wyatt family promo. Usual Bray nuttiness. He talked about how one man's hell was another man's paradise, and following the buzzards. And Kane's pyro went off, and they all braced for action, but he came out through the crowd and attacked them from behind. And he held his own for a while, but in the end of the day, there's still 3 of them and 1 of him. And they overwhelmed him, and Bray hit him with his move. And that was that. Damien Sandow versus Christian. This actually was possibly my favorite finish of all time. Damien's going for his wacky twisting elbow, the elbow of disdain. And as he's going through his theatrics, Christian just rolls out of the way. Just rolls across the ring. And Damien stops and looks at him, and he's just peeved. He's just miffed. And he goes over to grab Christian, and Christian small packages him and wins.
This sounds awesome.
And Damien does his wacky Muppet facials, and they cut to Christian. He's just nodding and laughing. This was fantastic. So Damien went after him afterwards, and Christian hit him with a spear. Then Alberto attacked Christian and cut a promo saying he would never win the world title, and he tried to put him in the armbar, but Christian turned it into the kill switch and left him laying. So Christian got like 3 wins in the segment. This is how you build a challenger. That was fun. Renee Young interviewed RVD. He said he was not worried about Shield interference because he had the Big Show and Mark Henry watching his back. And they all took turns saying, we're going to win the tag titles. And finally, Rob Van Dam said his name. And Big Show started to look off into space and just cackle. And the other guy, it was the end of the promos. They were all kind of doing the confident chuckle and nod thing too. But Big Show was cackling and just looking away. And finally, Mark looked off screen like, what is this man laughing at? And then it ended. I don't know what happened.
So how did I miss this show?
But I enjoyed it.
At least
that was one of the highlights, yes.
I got it recorded.
Yeah.
This is so far, we're 2 for 2 on what sound like great segments.
Yes. Well, then Caitlyn and Natalya wrestled AJ and Layla.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. They had a sloppy 4-way at the end, and then Layla kicked Caitlyn in the knee, and AJ hit Caitlyn with the Shining Wizard. And that was the end of it.
Sloppy 4-way.
Not like that.
Sounds hot. It's 3 for 3.
Renee interviewed Ryback. And Ryback began to bully the director of the interview. Just a new one. And then he ended up throwing him over the table. And all the geeks called for help in a phony manner. Help! Help! That was it.
What's funny, by the way, is that CM Punk deal where he got really pissed off at the fan, which, by the way, was not a spot. There's a guy who booed, and he got pissed off, and he flipped out and bullied him.
Yeah.
It's not very nice.
He cut a heel promo.
He was not being a star.
No.
And I'm not the only one who's mentioned that today, by the way, I should note. Go on.
Is there more to that comment?
Well, not really.
All right.
There's people talking about it, but you got to be careful what you say.
That's true.
If you're there.
They did the Did You Know bit about 20 million viewers that Dave wrote about 6,000 words on in The Observer this week. And ordinarily I skip these, as I noted, but this one they actually talked about after putting it up on the screen. So I could not avoid that one. Had a Punk Heyman Lesnar video package with a lot of stuff from Punk's DVD. 6-man with RVD, Mark Henry, and Big Show against the Shield. Was not very long. In a spot where everyone ended up taking a big bump on the floor one way or another. Show was almost counted out, managed to sneak back in. Dean Ambrose had a great freak out about that. And they wrestled a bit, and Show hit the knockout punch. And he reached out and tagged RVD, who hit the frog splash, and he won. That was that. Miz versus Jack Swagger. And I thought about this even before Michael Cole brought it up, but Miz and Jack Swagger were once the WWE and World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
Now they're not. And not likely to ever be again. So they tried to do an interference spot with Antonio Cesaro where he would get caught and ejected, and I don't know why, but this proved to be very complicated and difficult. And worse, as soon as they did it, Swagger got pinned anyway. Swagger was the one who got distracted. So mispinned him. Zack Ryder wrestled Curtis Axel. I watched this show 4 days after it aired, and the echoes of channels changing across America were still ringing in my head. Crowd chanted for Punk for a little bit. Axel won with his neckbreaker. After the break, Heyman was still in the ring cutting a promo, which is basically, yes, CM Punk outsmarted me, but I have Brock Lesnar, and Brock's going to kill him at the pay-per-view. Had a Daniel Bryan John Cena video package, and then the main event, Daniel Bryan versus Wade Barrett. Bryan started his comeback, and out came Vince McMahon to distract him. Vince dressing what I can only describe, or wearing what I can only describe as a clown suit. He had tan slacks, a powder blue shirt, a yellow tie, and a red plaid blazer. So he was making fun of Bryan's beard, and he started doing the yes chants whenever Bryan got hit. It was no DQ match. So they did a lot of stuff with chairs and tables. And finally, Bryan got the yes lock on. Vince dragged the ref out of the ring. Then Wade hit the bull hammer. Out came Brad Maddox wearing a referee's shirt. Now, what happened in the first segment on Raw that led to everything going on? It was Daniel Bryan versus Wade Barrett with Brad Maddox as ref. And Brad Maddox, as a heel ref, fast counted. And that's why everyone got so angry. So here on SmackDown, it's Wade Barrett versus Daniel Bryan with Brad Maddox as a heel ref. And he comes running down at the behest of Vince McMahon. And he dives into the ring. And he counts fairly. And Bryan kicked out. And Wade and Vince were pissed. They told him to count faster. They never had a chance to again. Bryan made a cover. Maddox just refused to count. Actually, Maddox got taken out. Then Vince went to put on a referee's shirt. Hunter finally came out. In a referee's shirt that was actually way too big for him. Think about that for a second. And as soon as Hunter hit the ring, Bryan hit the diving headbutt. Triple H counted the pin. He celebrated with Bryan, and that was the end of SmackDown.
So it sounds like it started out well and kind of fell off a cliff.
There was a lot of stuff no one needed to see. I'm trying to think of a main roster match that would get more people to turn the channel more quickly than Curtis Axel versus Zack Ryder.
Well, can't come up with one.
Perhaps Curtis Hawkins. If you took Ryder out and put Hawkins in, that might work.
How about Zack Ryder versus Kurt Hawkins? Who are the guys in that segment for Adidas or whatever on...
Ryder and Gabriel.
There. Zack Ryder and Justin Gabriel. That's going to be a quick one.
Well, that was SmackDown, Brian. Are you sad you missed it?
I'm sad I missed the first three segments.
You can go back and watch the first half hour, really.
All right, I'll do that when this is over. Because that's what I do. I watch the important stuff.
And Duck Dynasty.
And that is the important stuff.